Hey guys. So today we're going to talk about metabolic chaos and your thyroid. And if you don't know who I am yet, my name is Jen Miner, and I am the owner of Thrive Health and Wellness. And I support people when they want to heal. Okay. We do that without any drugs or surgery. We help them get to the root cause of the issue. We work with them on their diet, which I like to call fuel. We work with them on their lifestyle. We provide targeted, specific supplementation programs and homeopathic remedies to support that healing process, to make sure that their body heals. So all these wonderful things to help them thrive. So today I'm going to be talking about metabolic chaos in your thyroid, as you can see here on the screen. And I just want to give you a general overview of how your thyroid works so that you can understand that this is part of a bigger picture. So when we have concerns about our thyroid, it's not as simple as we can take levothyroxine, maybe, or Synthroid and medicate that and manipulate our blood work so that we're seeing a different result in the blood work. But when we understand that thyroid issues, they don't just stop working. Okay, so we have to understand that thyroid issues are coming from a bigger place. Okay, so if we don't correct those bigger places, then whether we medicate to manipulate that blood work or not, what was creating the dysfunction is still ongoing and it's still happening underneath there, creating havoc and making other processes difficult, because I guarantee you that your thyroid is not the only area that it's impacting. Okay, so maybe you have experienced some of this. Okay, weight gain, you can't maintain your weight, you have very low energy and fatigue, ice cold or tingling hands or feet, dry skin, hair loss, brain fog, poor sleep, muscle aches, constipation, swelling in your ankles, feeling blue, sad, blah. Okay, so this is what they call the typical thyroid profile. Okay, so these are some of the red flags that they're looking for. And the more red flags you have, the more it points to maybe, possibly, we have a concern here in the thyroid area. Okay, so standard medicines, they're going to diagnose the thyroid. They're going to do thyroid tests. They're going to say, yep, there's low output here. They're going to provide prescribe meds that bring your test results in range. All right, and then they're going to monitor that and they're going to titrate your dose accordingly. And most likely, for most people that are in this situation, the amount of medication is going to increase as you age, because obviously, like I said, the true root cause hasn't been addressed. Okay. Maybe sometimes the symptoms abate, but a lot of times the symptoms come back, and this is where they have to keep increasing the medication, right? Or add on more medications. So what if they do come back? What if new ones appear, right? Then they repeat the whole process and you're still in the same cycle that isn't identifying or getting to or healing anything at all. Okay, it's just manipulating blood work. It's a band-aid. It's just making it look nice and pretty, but on the inside, there's still all this metabolic chaos going on, right? So this is a great visual that I put together so that you can understand more about your thyroid metabolism, all right? So you can understand more the root cause possibilities versus just the symptom of an unhappy thyroid. All right, so we need to understand that flow of thyroid metabolism. That starts with the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus releases something called TRH, all right? And then that signals the pituitary to release THS, all these initials, right? And in order to do that, because we have to make that THS, in order to make THS, we need magnesium, we need protein, we need B12, we need zinc, okay? Or I'm sorry, not THS, TSH, getting my letters mixed up. So thyroid stimulating hormone, okay? So where does it all start? It starts at the hypothalamus. You can see that at the top, okay? And then what impacts the hypothalamus are things like neurotransmitter imbalances. If we have a sympathetic overload, okay, meaning high levels of cortisol, high stress response, if you're always in a stress state, and that's how we're living our life, from one stress to the next, to the next, to the next, that's going to put us in the sympathetic overload. It can also happen when we're in a parasympathetic overload, And that can happen, in lots of different situations. But that means when we get stuck in either cycle, when the body isn't able to move freely back and forth between the different scenarios, between the different nervous systems, to properly regulate its response to what's happening in life. Okay. And then there's immune system elements, right? So there's your limbic system, brain chemistry, toxicity in the brain, okay? And there's no lab for TRH, okay? But low TRH can result from other influences. So lower TSH, low TH, same cluster of thyroid symptoms, right? So it can really get hidden in the mix there. And then that it goes from the hypothalamus to the pituitary, okay? So how do we know if the pituitary is struggling? How do we know if we have some dysfunctions there? Well, TSH can be suppressed by endotoxins, all right? It can be suppressed by excess cortisol, that stress level that we were talking about. And keep in mind, guys, drinking tons of caffeine, energy drinks, this raises your cortisol. So this can keep you in that cortisol state. Inflammation, environmental pollutants, lower TSH, you have low TH, and again, we've got the same cluster of thyroid symptoms. So we're still not sure where this is coming from. It can be either of these areas and you're still going to have the same result. So just sticking some Synthroid in there isn't solving these problems that are higher up in your nervous system, because guess what? This isn't the only job that these guys do in the body. So it's very important that they're functioning optimally, okay? So then TSH then goes to the thyroid gland where it's gonna make T4. And to do that, it's gonna need vitamins like B2, B3, B6. It's gonna need iron, it's gonna need tyrosine, iodine. It's gonna need vitamin A and E. So that's really important to keep in mind, okay? Now, in order to absorb iodine, you need lots of B2 and vitamin C. So there's all these nutritional factors in here, right? So if we're not consuming the nutrients, all right, if we're not absorbing the nutrients because maybe our gut and our digestion is really compromised, then we're going to have issues here. So we always have to start at the lowest common denominator, okay? We always have to start at the most foundational level and work our way up, because 9 times out of 10, working at that level corrects so many issues, okay? You say, well, I just take a B vitamin supplement. Well, the concern there is that all of our genetics when it comes to absorbing and assimilating B vitamins are different. And many of us need different forms of B vitamins in order to properly absorb them, to be able to utilize them, okay? So you could be taking a B vitamin that is actually creating more toxicity in the system, okay? It could be elevating that toxic burden, creating more inflammation because the body can't utilize it, okay? So I have a genetic disposition to a specific version of B vitamins, okay? We all do. So what's mine might not be yours, okay? And if I give myself the wrong one, my body doesn't respond the same way. It's not getting the help it needs. I'm just adding to the problem, okay? So it's very important that we take the right source of supplementation if we're gonna supplement and not get it from our diet, okay? So that's important. Same thing with vitamin C. Oh, well, I take emergency or something like that. Well, high levels of ascorbic acid, because we were meant to consume vitamin C as a whole complex. So when you take just a piece of it, which is ascorbic acid, that's not vitamin C like you get in your nutrients, like you get in your food when you eat, say, peppers, okay? It's not the same thing. So when you get those extremely high doses of just ascorbic acid, the body's going to search for all of the other ingredients that it needs, all the other cofactors it needs to try and absorb this exorbitant amount of vitamin C that you just gave it. So 1, we would need to make sure that it's necessary. 2, we need to make sure that we have those other resources available. Okay, things like vitamin A, which is one of our fat soluble vitamins. So it's something that we store. So we need to make sure that we have that available and in large quantities, so that now we can try, because the body's going to try to do something with all that C, all that ascorbic acid that you just gave it. So again, this is something where you really want to make sure that you need it. The other factor is vitamin C and vitamin B. They're water soluble vitamins. I can't tell you how many times I talk to somebody during a day and they're dehydrated. They're not drinking enough water. So the body isn't going to be able to utilize these nutrients the way that it should, whether you're getting them from your food or you're supplementing them. So there's all these other factors. Everything works hand in hand. Okay. So then it takes the T4 and it converts it to T3. Okay. So T3 has to get to the cell and it has to bind with the nuclear receptors, okay, for metabolic activation. Okay, so in order to make T3, you need vitamin A, you need vitamin D, you need zinc, you need exercise, you need healthy fatty acids. So there's all these ingredients. If you're going to make this cake, you need to have all of these ingredients. Okay, now you also need a mineral called selenium. So if enough selenium isn't there, then T4 is going to convert to RT3, reverse T3, instead of T3. These are very different things, guys. So we want to make sure that we're giving the body, again, all the ingredients it needs to be making this cake properly. So RT3, it blocks the binding sites on the cell membrane. So then 93% can't bind to those receptors, okay? Other things that increase the conversion of RT3 are things like stress, trauma, infections, toxins like fluoride, okay? That greatly interferes with this process. Pesticides, mercury, lead, all those metal fillings you got in your mouth, cadmium, if you're a smoker or your mom was a smoker, she was pregnant with you, like me. She quit when I was born, it's okay. Secondhand smoke, inflammation, liver, kidneys dysfunctions, autoimmune issues, all this stuff. That was a mouthful. I get so excited when I talk about these things. So other things that impact these conversion issues, okay? So liver. So the liver has to remove one iodine molecule from the T4 to make it active T3, okay? Liver also makes RT3, that reverse T3, okay, in an inactive form that can fill up these receptor sites, all right? Liver also makes additional inactive forms, T3AC, T3S, which also have to be activated later by your gut flora, okay? Which makes up for about 25% of your total T3. So you see how all of this is connected and how it all fits in together. And people say to me, hey, I just started eating better, or you helped me heal my gut. Could it really have made this much of an impact on everything else? Because I was told I just needed to take Thyroid and that was it. Absolutely, it absolutely can. So a lack of healthy gut flora results in a very poor conversion of things like T3AC and T3S, okay? So, and you get about 25% reduction of your active thyroid hormones. That's not good, guys. We don't want that. And then you can have clearance issues too. When I say clearance issues, that's going to come from things like congested liver, liver dysfunction. Okay, so if you've had gallbladder challenges in the past, you're going to have liver challenges. Okay, maybe you don't have a gallbladder, it's going to lead to a stressed liver. Okay, maybe you had gallbladder problems, they seem to be subsided now. But let me tell you something, there's no way that the liver wasn't impacted in that. If your gallbladder's not happy, your liver's not happy, I don't care what your blood work says, it's just the way that it is, okay? So you want to deal with that. Gut dysfunction, okay, things like dysbiosis, so that's that balance between the good bacteria, the bad bacteria, all that stuff. So when we have high levels of bad or unwanted gut bacteria, then they make these endotoxins, okay? And then that decreases your TSH, all right? So these endotoxins from that poor gut bacteria can also disrupt that conversion from T4 to T3, like we talked about. So this is a big deal. This is a big process. This isn't something that's just, my thyroid decided not to work anymore. It doesn't work that way. That's not how it happens. So foods can be very powerful. We talked about that. So you don't need a lot of some of them. For example, like half a cup of those colorful peppers can be 106% of your daily value for some of these nutrients, okay? Like I said, you want to make sure that you're drinking adequate water. And the colorful peppers that I have listed, I do have them listed here, right? Yeah, red, yellow, green peppers, because they're a good source of vitamin C. So then you want to make sure that your liver gallbladder is working really nice and healthy to metabolize all the good healthy fats with all these fat soluble vitamins, okay? So here's some foods that, egg yolks. So many people have eliminated egg yolks from our diet. It's a great source of vitamin A and some of these fat soluble nutrients that our body really, really needs. cod liver oil, mushrooms, cherries, rose hips, sweet germ, Brazil nuts, fabulous. So I hope this gives you a lot of information on your thyroid, and it helps you understand the whole process and what might be happening aside from just my thyroid decided not to work. Because this is what we want to look at. We want to look at all of these parts, okay? And we want to support all of these processes of making sure that everybody can do their job well and efficiently, and everybody has all the ingredients they need to make their cake.